Hello, 5th grade. So today we're going to start to create these dodecahedrons. Dodecahedron means a 12-sided shape. And you can see that it's going to be a sculpture in the round that you can look at it from all different sides. And this one I did from old Christmas cards that I had saved up and created an ornament, and I added a string to it. But it's basically just a 12-sided shape. And so if you don't want to do a Christmas ornament, you don't celebrate Christmas, or you just don't want to do one, that's okay. You can pick whatever colors you want. So I have an example here of just in blue and yellow, just choosing 2 colors done in blue and yellow. And if you want to still string it up, doing whatever colors you want, that's okay too. You can string it up. It's no problem. But the way that you start, since it's a 12-sided shape, you need 12 of these shapes to do the 12 sides. So you are going to have access to my drawers of all my scrap paper. And I have some printed papers in there, some papers that are a little stiffer and thicker than other papers. If you pick some of the thicker, stiffer paper, that might help you to create your dodecahedron a little bit easier than just using plain construction paper. But plain construction paper does work just fine. But if you struggle with folding and neatness and precision, you might want to stick with the stiffer paper. So you're going to pick some paper that you want to work with, and any colors that you want. You can pick a different color for all 12 sides. I try to make things easier on me and stack the paper, and then when I trace the pattern, because you're going to get a pattern for me that looks like this, it looks like kind of a piece of popcorn or a circular cloud or maybe even a flower with some petals. You're going to trace this, and you need 12 of these. So I could trace this 12 times on 12 different pieces of paper, and that'll work. It'll take me a little bit longer, but it'll work. Or I could just trace it once and stack 2 or 3 papers on top of each other and then cut out 2 or 3 at the exact same time. But when you cut them out, it's very important that you cut on your pencil lines and that you're very precise. This pattern, if you cut it sloppily, if you don't follow your pencil lines and you cut it all wonky, you're going to struggle to know where to fold. So when you cut your shapes out, they need to look like this pattern piece. If it doesn't look like the pattern piece, then you're doing something wrong. So you're going to trace this 12 times and cut it out. So I could take this paper and I could fold it in half. I'm going to trace it on the back side since the back side is white. I'm going to trace it on that side so I don't see any pencil lines on the front side, which is also something I would recommend. If you have a paper that is printed on one side and white on the other, trace on the back of the paper just so that you can save yourself some pencil lines, and it'll make your dodecahedron look a little bit more clean and neat. So you're going to do this, cutting these 12 pieces out till you get 12 total cut out. So I've got some red here, some plaid red, some green. Excuse me. And you're going to cut that out. I want you to give me my pattern back. And then you're going to start to fold them. Okay? And the way that you fold them, the way that I want you to fold them, is you're going to fold the petals over. So you're going to take, and maybe I should zoom in here. You're going to take and fold the petal over so that you get a straight crease going across. So right across the bottom. So you're not going to fold it deep to where you fold the other petals. You're going to fold right where the petal ends. And if you have a stiffer paper, sometimes this makes it a little bit easier. Nice straight line, and these petals aren't, the edges of the petals aren't bent over, the ones on the sides. So then I'm going to come over and I'm going to fold this one over. And now when I fold the second petal over, they touch here, but they don't overlap, and they create a nice point. Folding is very important. Cutting is important so that you can clearly see what the petals to fold over, or the tabs to fold over. These are technically tabs. Our learning objective for this assignment is to create a paper sculpture using tabs or slits, some sort of paper joining technique. And the paper joining technique that we are using today is tabs. We have these tabs that we're going to use to join our paper together, to join our dodecahedron together and those pieces together to create this three-dimensional shape. So when we fold our tabs over, you need to have a nice sharp point, and you do not want these tabs to be overlapping each other and almost folded like this. I've had 5th graders that fold their tabs over like this, and one's bigger than the other. They should be equal in length. So this length should be equal to this length. So that's folded incorrectly. So now when I fold that back, now this length is the same as this length and the same. They need to be all the same length. So when you get to your last tab to fold over, it folds over pretty easily and nicely, and then you'll see you get a pentagon shape, a 5-sided shape left over if you look at the back side instead of the tabs. So look at my tabs and how they all fold over, and they make a sharp point on the corners, but they're not totally overlapping each other. So you're going to continue to do this. If you have a paper that doesn't have a front and a back, it doesn't matter how you fold your tabs, what side you fold your tabs over onto. But if you do have a paper that has a front and back, it will matter where you fold your tabs. So I have some greens here. This green doesn't have a back. So this is going to be the inside of my dodecahedron. So I need to fold my tabs in on top of the pattern, on top of the side. This side where the tabs are touching, that's the side that everyone's going to see. That's the outside of your dodecahedron. Okay, so when you fold your tabs over, they shouldn't overlap on the corners. They should all be equal in length, an equal pentagon 5-sided shape. So on this paper here, it's double-sided, so it may not matter to you where your tabs go, but I want this polka dot to stick outside of my dodecahedron, be the outside, so I'm going to fold my tabs over onto that polka dot because that's the outside of my dodecahedron. So after you get your 12 shapes folded over, nice and neat, take your time, then you're going to start with 6. You're going to start with half of your dodecahedron. And you're going to start with 6 pieces. And you're going to put glue on one tab and then put another piece right next to it, butt those tabs up together and pinch that together. And you're going to want to get yourself a paper towel because you're going to make a bit of a glue mess as you do this. Now, the next piece that you glue is going to line up with this side. So you're going to start to make kind of a smile or a curved line you should see here. It's very important that you get this curve line. So I'm going to put some glue on this tab. And I like to keep my pieces flat on the table and just pinch the tabs together. That way I know the pieces are even. If I hold it up in my hand, I might have one tab that doesn't line up with the other. So I want these edges to all line up and be flat. So if I keep it flat on the table, that makes sure that that happens. Okay, so I'm starting to see a smile line here, or a curved line. Now I'm going to do this last one. Nope, this isn't the last one. You're going to do 5 in a row. So you're just going to pinch the tabs together and make a nice smooth curved line there. And then my last one here. So don't make the mistake of accidentally gluing one here. You need to see a smile or a curved line as you're gluing these tabs together. All right, so you probably want to give this 5-piece a little bit of time to set up and to get stuck together. So you might want to talk to a friend for a few minutes, but you need to just give it a few minutes so the glue gets kind of sticky, because now you're going to start to bring these ends together to create a dome and to create that 3D shape. So if these tabs are not sticky and stuck together with the glue, they're going to pop apart. So now I'm going to bring these 2 ends together. And you know you've brought it together correctly when you start to see that pentagon shape at the top, because that's where the 6th piece is going to go. So I'm going to put some glue, glue these tabs, hold it together. Make sure that gets sticky. Oh, that was not good. I'm going to hold that a little bit longer. My fingers are pretty messy with glue. Okay, and then you're going to set this on top and you're going to glue all the tabs together. I like to do 2 tabs at the same time, so I'm going to put glue on 2 of the tabs. Actually, I put glue on all the tabs. Oops. And then I set it on top and I pinch 2 tabs together, and I hold them together. Now, this here, this piece is shorter than that piece, so I'm going to see if I can find a shorter piece. Shorter tab, that's better, probably. Okay, so you're going to set this, and it can get a little tricky, especially if you didn't fold correctly or cut correctly. And you're going to hold those 2 stuck together. Ugh, my thumbs are so sticky. And then I'm going to move to the next 2 tabs. And it's okay if the tabs don't line up, the tops of the tabs. You want to line up these folds, these creases. So you can see mine's not perfect. These corners are not lining up perfectly. But if you look on the inside, I'm trying to make sure that these stay straight. And so now I have one last tab to glue. So when you glue it together, you just don't want gigantic holes in it. And the tabs don't have to line up the curve part where you cut. These folds are what needs to line up. All right, so there is half of my dodecahedron right there. There's half. That's the inside. This is the outside. Now I went ahead and did my other half, so you don't have to sit and watch me do it. And so these are the outsides of my dodecahedron. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these together. Just like a zigzag line on the outside there, I'm going to put these together. So I'm going to set one on top of the other, and actually I'm going to fold these flaps out a little bit flatter, and I'm going to go and add a dot of glue on each of these flaps. And I'm just going to work my way around. So I'm going to take this other half, set it on top, and I like to do 2 at a time. So I'm going to pinch 2 tabs together and hold them there. Got a lot of glue on my fingers, use a paper towel to clean that off. Pinch those 2 tabs together. When they seem to stay stuck, then I'm going to move to my next 2. Then pinch and hold. And move to the next 2 all the way around until I have my completed glued, closed dodecahedron. My 12-sided shape. And it's a sculpture in the round because you can look at it from all sides. And I want to tilt this up for you just a minute. You can see I have a hole right there. That's okay. It's still glued together. It's still the shape it needs to be. It's going to be nearly impossible to make this completely perfect, especially when you have to cut 12 and fold 12. You're just not going to cut and fold exactly the same 12 times over and over again. It's just not going to happen. But you want to fold as neatly and as straight as possible and have nice sharp corners so that at least you'll be able to get those tabs all glued together. And even though you might have some holes, you can, if you're a perfectionist and you want to go through and add a little bit of glue, that's okay, and hold those corners shut if you want to take that time. But once you have your dodecahedron together, you have completed the assignment. What I want you to keep in mind though, 5th grade, a lot of you like to bounce these around like they're balls. Please don't. Please hold them in your hands. And if you do want to add a string to your dodecahedron, I will get the hole punches out. We can hole punch and get a piece of yarn out, and you can add a little tie string there and turn it into an ornament if you'd like. So there's your dodecahedron, 5th grade. Good luck. I know you're going to do great.